Hello and welcome to this bite-sized webinar from Companies House. This is the last in a four-part series that we have delivered over the past 4 weeks. And this time we're going to be looking at some of the common queries that we receive at our call center, our contact center. As you can see, we've got a packed agenda to fit in half an hour. That's all we're going to keep you for today. First, we're going to talk about who we are. Then we're going to have a look at the most frequently asked questions that we receive at our call center. And they have provided us with a list, but it's in no particular order. So there's no number 1 or number 10. It's in no order at all. Now, I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague Megan to take you through the slides today. We've got a lot to cover in a short space of time. So without further ado, we'll make a start. And I think Meg is going to kick us off. So over to you, Meg.
Thanks, Gary. Hi, everyone. So in case you don't already know about us, Companies House is the registry for limited companies in the UK. We are an executive agency sponsored by BEIS, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. We register and dissolve limited companies, collect company data and make that data available to the public, driving confidence in the UK economy. You can access the company register online using your PC, laptop or smartphone, all free of charge. We drive confidence in the economy and make the UK a great place to start and run a business. The data on our register informs business decisions, supports growth and combats economic crime. So as you can imagine, our call centre and the team who deal with our emails get quite a few questions every day. And many of the questions are on similar subjects. So we ask them to collate the top 10 and give us headings so we can try and answer them. Now, if you are like me and I need to find something quickly, the first place I look is usually the internet, and usually I can find what I'm looking for. The first point of call if you have a query about starting or running a company is indeed our website, and that is www.gov.uk/Companies House. From our front page, you can find company information, file your annual documents, get guidance on running or starting a company, get guidance on closing a company, and then we also have featured items about current news, and you can also link to our blogs, YouTube channel and other social networks. I'll also mention here that it's worth signing up to our email updates so that we can send you any important messages and the news will go straight to your inbox. We also have a newsletter that goes out twice a month, and that's also worth a read. And back over to you, Gary.
Okay, thanks, Meg. Okay, so in no particular order, here are some of the questions that are most frequently asked at our call centre. And the first one here, we get many calls and emails about personal information appearing on the register. Now, at Companies House, there is a certain amount of information that we are required to make available on our register. This includes the registered office address of a company, its filing history and accounts, directors' names and their correspondence addresses, and details about people with significant control. This is part of the agreement to benefit from limited liability. Your company details must be open and transparent. Now, the main query we receive is that a personal address appears on the register and can it be removed? Now, coincidentally, we have actually recently published a blog covering this very subject, and the link is in the handout. But basically, if you have used your home address as your registered office address, it will appear on the public register. And although you can change it, it will appear in the history. Now, read the blog and all will be revealed as to how you change it and the other options you've got to choose as a registered office address. Now, if as a director, you've given your home address as your correspondence address, this can be easily changed. You can do this online by supplying another correspondence address, which can be a registered office address or a service address, such as your accountant or your advisor. Okay, so that's question 1. Meg, over to you for, I think, question 2.
Thanks, Gary. So leading on from that is finding and searching the data that appears on the register. Finding information about a company is easy and it's free on Find and Update Company Information Service, also known as Companies House Service, CHS. A common misconception is finding company information and viewing company accounts is a service that needs to be paid for, when in fact it's not, which is nice. From the company page on our website, you simply select Find Company Information and then select Start Now. By simply entering the company name, number, or the name of the director, you will be supplied with a list of names from the register which match your criteria. You can narrow the search down by choosing to search on just companies, officers, or disqualifications, and by scrolling through the results, you should find who you are looking for. Once you have found and selected a company, you will be presented with the overview screen. Here you will find the registered address, date of incorporation, nature of the business, and the dates of the last accounts and confirmation statement were filed, and when the next are due. You will also have the option to file on behalf of the company and inspect accounts and the company history. It's very straightforward. I think you will agree. I have a go once, and we have finished this webinar, and when we finish this webinar, your own company or name and see what's there. So back to you, Gary.
Okay, the next question up is accounts and late filing penalties. Now we'll combine these two because they often they are combined when people ask questions about them. And we're not going to actually give too much detail today because we answered these questions in webinar 1, which you can watch again from the link in the handout and from our YouTube channel. So just quickly, you will need to file a set of accounts every year, no matter whether you are trading or not. The type of accounts and the content depend on the type and size of business that you are. So if you want to know more about the different types of accounts, whether it be microentity, abridged, dormant, or full, and how to file them, when they are due, and how to avoid a late filing penalty, please go back to webinar 1. And again, as I say, the link is actually in the handout. And we've also actually got a accompanying blog which goes along with that webinar. So everything is covered in there. So I'm not going to repeat it in this webinar today. Okay, so back to you, Meg.
Thanks, Gary. So next up is Standard Industrial Classification Codes, otherwise known as SIC codes. You supply a SIC code when you incorporate a company, which gives an indication to the area of business that you trade in. You can find your code on the list of trade groups on our website, and you can search the list by trade description or code number. So, for example, if you sell computers, enter the word computer into the search box and it will bring you back a list of business areas that relate to computers, and the code 474100, retail sale of computers, will be the most suited to you. You can have up to 4 SIC codes as your services may be varied. So if you repair as well as sell computers, for instance, the SIC code will be 95110. Would also be appropriate. Please note though, if your company is dormant or non-trading, you'll still need to provide an appropriate SIC code. If you change your area of business, then you can update your SIC code when you file your confirmation statement. And if you want to make the change immediately, then you can file an early confirmation statement.
Thanks, Meg. And just to say, we've just actually had a blog on SIC codes, and that went out this week. So if you want more information about your SIC codes, how you find them, how you change them, then read our blog. Again, the link will be in the handout. Okay, on to the next question, which is changing your registered office. Now, another important piece of information that you need to supply to us is your registered office address. This is the official address of the company. This is the place vital communications will get sent, such as letters from Companies House and HMRC and any sort of other government offices. This must be a physical UK address. and it must be in the same country your company is registered. So for example, a company registered in Ireland must have a registered office address in Ireland. Now, do bear in mind that if you use your home address as your company's registered office, as mentioned earlier, it will be available to the public. Now, as a company grows, it may well outgrow its business premises, and changing an office address is another simple thing that can be done online. You will need your authentication code and an email login. Then once you're in your company overview, simply select the change address option on the screen and follow the instructions to update the registered office address. Again, as mentioned above, even though the address will be updated, the early addresses will appear in the history. It's something, unfortunately, that we cannot remove. Meg?
Thanks, Gary. Another popular question is how to dissolve a company. In terms of dissolving a company, there are two ways in which this can happen. The company can be struck off by Companies House, for instance, due to not filing necessary documents or no longer doing business, but it can also be dissolved by the company itself. You may want to dissolve your company for numerous reasons, such as wanting to retire and not having anyone to take over. The business may no longer be economically viable, or you may have incorporated with the intent to protect the company name and concluded that a trademark may be more beneficial for you. You can voluntarily dissolve using our online Close a Company service. This will help us process your application as quickly as possible. Again, we have an accompanying blog that covers voluntary dissolution, so give that a read if that's what you were thinking of doing, and the link is in the handout. Following on from dissolution, we get questions about restoration. Once a company is dissolved, it is possible for it to undergo restoration. The way in which restoration unfolds is dependent on the way in which the company was dissolved. In some situations where a company was struck off by Companies House due to it appearing to no longer being in business, directors can apply to have it restored. This is known as administrative restoration. To apply for administrative restoration, the RT01 form needs to be filled in and returned to us, which includes a statement of acceptance to confirm that you meet the conditions for administration and are legally allowed to apply. The processing fee for this is £100. If you voluntarily dissolve your company, the only way it can be restored is through a court order. To restore your company in this way, if you live in England or Wales, you need to apply to the court by completing an N208 form, which is the form that will start the court proceedings. The form can be found on the Court Service website. This procedure differs slightly if you live in Scotland or Wales. And if you need more guidance, you can find this again on the gov.uk website. Please be advised that you will still have to pay any outstanding penalties that the company had before dissolution, although you may not have to pay late filing penalties of accounts which became due while the company was dissolved. But if you are thinking of doing this, it would be advisable to get some professional advice.
Thanks, Meg. Okay, moving on now to certified copies. Another area that we get quite a few queries about is our certificate and certified copies ordering service. You have the option to order certificates of incorporation with certified facts about your company, as well as a certified copy of a document held on the register. You may wish to order either of these for a variety of reasons, such as applying for loans to show your company is reputable, for instance. Now, the quickest and easiest way to order certificates and certified copies is by searching the relevant company on our register, then from the overview screen, clicking on the More tab. You then have the choice to order them using either our standard service, which costs £15 and takes roughly around 4 working days, or using our same-day service, which is £50. Unfortunately, our same-day service is temporarily suspended, but hopefully this should be up and running soon. Now, to order a certified certificate, you'll need to choose the company information you want to be included on the certificate, the address you want it delivered to, and this can be in the UK or international, and you will need a credit or debit card for payment. Okay, over to you, Meg.
Thanks, Gary. And last but not least, we often get lots of questions about what's needed to set up or incorporate a company. We have a step-by-step guide to the documents you will need on our website, so that is probably the best place to start. There are 3 ways you can incorporate your company. You can register your company online with the on the gov.uk website. This will only allow you to incorporate the basic private limited company limited by shares, which uses a standard constitution. Other limited company types cannot be incorporated using this service. The company will also be automatically registered with HMRC for corporation tax. This costs £12 online. You can use the services of a third party to incorporate on your behalf. This could be an accountant, solicitor, or company formation agent. You can find a list of company formation and secretarial agents on the Companies House section of the gov.uk website. The majority of people use a third party to set up a limited company for them. And finally, you can fill in and send paper documents to Companies House. Paper documents can take longer to process than those sent electronically, and it costs more. And of course, there is greater chance of making mistakes when filling out a form, and this costs £40, which is obviously more expensive than the £12 it would cost online. Once the company is registered, you'll get a certificate of incorporation, which shows the company's name, number, and date of formation. Gary?
That's great, thanks, Meg. Okay, so that's sort of the top 10 questions that we regularly get asked at our call centre. Now, during this webinar, we've had a few questions come in, so we're going to have a look at a couple of questions that we've had during this last 20 minutes. And just a reminder that we will be sending a link to the recording automatically in about 24 hours time. So I think I'm going to be joined by Esme now to answer some of these questions that we've had coming in. So Esme, are you there to answer some questions for us, please?
I am. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Okay, so the first question is really more of a statement, but see if you can clarify it for them. I didn't realise that you could look up company information for free.
Yes, so I think Meg touched on this earlier for us, but many people think that finding company information does cost money, but it is entirely free. We did used to charge a fee for it a few years ago, but that was abolished, and you can now look at as many company records as you want, which is really useful if you're thinking of doing business with another company, for example. You can look them up, check to see that all their filings are up to date, and just to make sure that they're all sort of green ticks on their company record, and that's obviously a reason for keeping your own documents filed and up to date with us as well. But also it's useful if you're an individual and you are thinking of having maybe some work done on your house with a particular company. So you can check their status, see if they're limited and how long the company have been around, and you can check their incorporation date and any accounts filings that they've got on their record. So yeah, a really useful free service.
Brilliant, thanks, Matt. Let's now look at another one that's coming in. Okay, yeah, one that's here. Can I change my accounting reference date? I don't think we covered this in the accounts webinar, so if you can sort of clarify a bit about that for us, please.
Yeah, sure. And I know this is often one that causes confusion, so good to cover it off. But it is possible to change your accounts reference date, which is also known as your ARD, and this is the date from which your accounts due date is calculated. So to change your company's accounting reference date, you can file online, which is the most easiest and quickest way of doing it. You can also use software, or you can still send us a paper form, which is form AA01. And you must, whatever option you're using, you must do this before the filing deadline of the accounts for the period that you wish to change is due. So if accounts for a particular accounting reference period become overdue, it's then too late to actually go back and change that accounting reference date. So do it as in advance as possible. You can change your ARD by shortening the accounting reference period as many times as you like, and by as many months as you like, actually. So there's no restriction on that, but if you want to extend the restriction, you can only do that once. So you cannot extend a period so that it lasts more than 18 months from the start of the accounting period, and you may not extend, as I just said, more than once within 5 years unless the company is in administration or you've got approval from the Secretary of State. And also if the company is aligning its accounting reference date with that of a subsidiary or a partner undertaking under the law of the UK. So all of this information is available on our website, and it's a good idea to go and have a look at it if you do think you're going to need to extend your accounting reference date. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Ez. Right, I think Meg's going to just take you through some of our digital tools and service that we have on offer for you to use.
Thanks, Gary, and thanks, Ez, for jumping in there and answering those questions. Just to finish off, we're going to take a quick look at our digital services and tools. So just a reminder that we have a new interactive learning tool for new directors, which takes you through the responsibilities and annual filings, and the link is in the handout. The tool that takes you through your responsibilities as a director and shows you how to make your annual filings with the links to the relevant parts of the Companies House website, and incorporates our useful how-to videos. Email updates: by signing up to your email update service, we will inform you of any changes happening in the world of Companies House, so you know what's happening and when. This is separate to the email reminder service, which reminds you when your annual filings are due. So just note there that they are two separate services. A link to the Directors Toolkit can be also found in the handout. The Directors Toolkit takes you through your responsibilities as a company director and gives tips and advice on filing your important documentation, how you make changes as well. So don't forget to sign up to our free email reminder service so that you get notified when your important documents are due. And as it says, you can register up to 4 email addresses. So even if a couple of people are on holiday, then hopefully someone will still be reminded. Gary?
Brilliant. So that's it. We've sort of explored all the top 10 frequently asked questions that we received from our contact centre here at Companies House. Hope you found it useful. I'd just like to thank my colleagues for answering your questions. And remember, we are here to help. So if you've got any questions or anything like that, you can send them in to us. Now, please keep in contact with us on our usual channels, on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Sign up for our email reminders and updates so you don't miss out on any other important information that we may be needing to send out. So thank you very much for joining us. It's goodbye from us here at Companies House, and hopefully we will see you next time. So thanks for joining us.